Imagine being born in a two-room shotgun shack in Tupelo, Mississippi during the Great Depression. Imagine your twin brother dying at birth and your father going to prison for a forged check. Imagine being so poor that you had to wash dishes and drive a truck just to help your family survive. Now imagine that same young man walking into a tiny recording studio in Memphis, paying $4 to cut a record for his mother, and accidentally inventing a sound that would change the world. Imagine him becoming the most famous face on the planet, the king of rock and roll, only to feel more alone than ever. This is not a story about a saint. Elvis Presley was a complicated, sometimes reckless, deeply lonely human being. He was exploited, adored, and ultimately worn down by the very fame he had dreamed of. But this is also a story about a very specific kind of hope. The hope that music can lift you out of poverty, that a poor boy with a guitar can stand before millions, and that even after the drugs, the weight gain, and the heartbreak, the voice could still make you cry. Welcome to our channel. Today we are telling the story of Elvis Aaron Presley. And by the end you will understand that hope is not about a perfect life. It is about finding your voice, and using it to lift others. Elvis Presley was born on January 8, 1935 in Tupelo, Mississippi. He had a twin brother, Jesse Garon Presley, who was stillborn. Elvis grew up as an only child, but he always felt the ghost of his brother beside him. His mother, Gladys, coddled him. His father, Vernon, drifted in and out of trouble. The family was desperately poor. They lived in a two-room house with no running water and no electricity. Elvis slept in the same bed as his parents until he was a teenager. He learned to sing in the Assembly of God Church, where the music was loud, emotional, and full of the Holy Spirit. That gospel sound never left him. When Elvis was 13, the family moved to Memphis, Tennessee for a better life. He was a shy, awkward teenager with greasy hair, acne, and a stutter. Other kids made fun of him. He didn't fit in, but he had a voice. He had a guitar, a $12.95 birthday gift. And he had a dream. He later said, "When I was a boy, I would listen to the radio all night. I heard country, blues, gospel, bluegrass. I didn't know the names. I just knew it made me feel something. I wanted to make other people feel that." In 1953, Elvis walked into the Memphis recording service, also known as Sun Records. He paid $4 to record two songs, "My Happiness" and "That's When Your Heartaches Begin." He told the receptionist, "I want to make a record for my mother's birthday." The owner, Sam Phillips, was not there that day, but he heard the tape later. He heard something strange in Elvis's voice. A blend of black rhythm and blues and white country gospel. Sam said, "That boy can sing, but I don't know what to do with him." For a year nothing happened. Elvis drove a truck for the Crown Electric Company. He was 19 years old, delivering appliances, humming to himself. He almost gave up. Then in July 1954, Sam Phillips called him into the studio. He put him with two local musicians, guitarist Scotty Moore and bassist Bill Black. They messed around for hours. Nothing worked. Then, during a break, Elvis started goofing around with an old blues song called "That's All Right." He played it fast. He played it wild. Scotty and Bill joined in. Sam Phillips burst out of the control room and yelled, "What are you doing? Do that again." They recorded it that night. Elvis was so nervous that he asked Sam not to play it on the radio. Sam played it anyway. The phones exploded. People wanted to know, who is that white boy who sounds black? By 1956, Elvis Presley was a sensation. He signed with RCA Records. He released Heartbreak Hotel, Blue Suede Shoes, Hound Dog, and Don't Be Cruel. He appeared on television shows, The Milton Berle Show, The Steve Allen Show, and finally The Ed Sullivan Show. And then came the hips. When Elvis performed, he moved. His legs shook. His hips swiveled. His body, skinny and electric, seemed to vibrate. Teenage girls screamed and fainted. Adults were horrified. Newspapers called him Elvis the Pelvis. The Catholic Church condemned him. The Daughters of the American Revolution called him a danger to the youth of America. Ed Sullivan famously refused to film him below the waist, so the cameras showed only Elvis's face and torso while his legs kept moving. Elvis was confused. He said, "I don't see what the fuss is about. I just move the way the music makes me feel." But the fuss only made him bigger. By 1958, he had sold over 20 million records. He had been drafted into the United States Army. The world assumed his career was over. Instead, he served honorably in Germany, met a 14-year-old girl named Priscilla Beaulieu, whom he would later marry, and returned home in 1960 to find that rock and roll had moved on without him. The 1960s were strange for Elvis. His manager, Colonel Tom Parker, a mysterious Dutch immigrant who was not actually a colonel and not actually named Parker, decided that movies were safer than live shows. Elvis made 31 films between 1960 and 1968. Almost all of them were terrible. The formula was the same. Elvis plays a handsome guy, sings a few songs, gets the girl, and drives a fast car. The scripts were cheap. The songs were forgettable. Elvis himself grew bored and depressed. He started eating badly. He started taking pills. Uppers to wake up, downers to sleep. By 1967, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and Bob Dylan had become the sound of a generation. Elvis was a punchline, a fat jumpsuit relic in a rhinestone desert. He later admitted, "I hated those movies. I hated going to the set every morning, but I didn't know how to stop. Colonel Parker told me it was safe." In December 1968, Elvis Presley walked onto a small circular stage at NBC Studios in Burbank, California. He wore a tight black leather suit. He was 33 years old. He had not performed live in front of an audience for 7 years. The special was called Elvis, but it became known as the '68 Comeback Special. Elvis was terrified. His hands shook. But when the cameras rolled, something old and wild returned. He sang the songs of his youth. He joked with the band. He sat on a stool and played acoustic guitar. And then at the end he stood up and sang, "If I Can Dream," a gospel-infused plea for peace and hope, written in response to the assassinations of Martin Luther King Jr. and Robert F. Kennedy. He sang, "While I can think, while I can talk, while I can stand, while I can walk, while I can dream, please let my dream come true." When he finished, the studio audience stood and wept. The critics called it one of the greatest performances in television history. Elvis was back. After the comeback, Elvis did what no one expected. He became a Las Vegas headliner. He played the International Hotel, later the Las Vegas Hilton, for months every year. He wore elaborate jumpsuits, white, blue, gold, studded with eagles and lightning bolts. He threw scarves to screaming women. He karate chopped the microphone stand. The voice was still there. When he sang Suspicious Minds, In the Ghetto, or Kentucky Rain, he could still break your heart. But the body was failing. He gained enormous weight. The pills got worse. He became paranoid, demanding that his bodyguards strip search strangers. He married Priscilla in 1967. They divorced in 1973. He never really recovered. He started seeing a 17-year-old girl named Lisa Marie, not his daughter, someone else's. He surrounded himself with a group called the Memphis Mafia, who told him what he wanted to hear. He barely slept. He wrote a letter to President Jimmy Carter asking to be made a federal agent at large in the war on drugs. The irony, Elvis himself was drowning in prescription medication, was lost on him. In 1973, he performed a global satellite concert called Aloha from Hawaii. Over 1 billion people watched. He was by any measure still the king. But the crown was too heavy. On August 16, 1977, Elvis Presley died on the bathroom floor of his Graceland mansion. He was 42 years old. The official cause was cardiac arrhythmia. But everyone knew the real cause: a lifetime of drugs, loneliness, and the impossible burden of being Elvis. His funeral drew 80,000 people. The line of mourners stretched for 3 miles. They wept, they fainted, they threw themselves at his casket. But here is the hope that survived. Elvis Presley was not a perfect man. He was deeply flawed. He took advantage of women. He took pills until his body quit. He let Colonel Parker drain him financially. He sang In the Ghetto about poverty while living in a 23-room mansion. And yet, he also gave the world a sound that had never existed before. He stood on stage in black leather and reminded everyone, black, white, rich, poor, that music could make you move. He gave millions of dollars to charities in Memphis, often anonymously. He bought houses for his parents and his friends. He stopped his car on highways to help strangers change tires. He was a poor boy from Tupelo who never forgot where he came from. To our audience in the USA, the UK, and Canada, you are watching this video in a world that loves to watch stars burn out. We build them up, we celebrate them, and then we mock them when they fall. Elvis fell harder than almost anyone. But the hope in his story is not about the fall. It is about the voice. It is about the $4 record. It is about a shy, stuttering boy who walked into a studio and changed everything. He said, "I don't know anything about music. I don't read it. I just play it the way I feel it." That is the hope. You do not need credentials. You do not need permission. You do not need to be perfect. You just need to feel something and then give that feeling to others. If you are poor, if you are awkward, if you are laughed at, if you feel like you missed your chance, remember the boy in the two-room shack. Remember the truck driver who almost gave up. Remember the 33-year-old in black leather who looked into a camera and said, "If I can dream, you can still dream. You can still sing. You can still shake the dust off your feet and stand in front of the world. Just take one step. A small step. A step that swings." If Elvis Presley's music has ever made you feel less alone, hit that like button for the king, who was just a boy from Tupelo who never stopped believing in the power of a song. Subscribe for more stories of beautiful, broken humans who left the world richer than they found it. And in the comments below, what is the one Elvis song that makes you move, no matter where you are? Thank you for watching. Don't be cruel. Be kind. And keep dreaming. Fade to black. The opening riff of Suspicious Minds. A single spotlight on an empty stage. When I was a child, my mother told me not to stare at the sun. So once when I was 6, I did. Elvis Presley.